I think the kids got the main idea of the lesson. They seemed very focused and enjoyed the lesson. I did realize I must have not have gave the instructions very clearly though, because I had like 2 or 3 kids ask me the same question and so that's why I had to stop the class and make sure everyone knew what I expected of them, because when I get 2 or 3 of the same questions, I know that it was my fault and I didn't explain it clearly. If it's just one kid, then he wasn't paying attention. But when it's more than one, then that's my fault and I need to redirect them, make sure everybody knows what's going on. So that was one thing. So when I had to do it again, I made sure that I was more precise with my instructions. It seemed like everyone got to finish the activity and they were on task most of the time. So I think it went pretty well. I think when they were able to take those percentages, they were able to apply it. So they were able to do it on their own. I didn't get very many, well, how did you do this again? And they had their partner there to help them too. So I tried to pair them up so that at least there tended to be one stronger person with one that if they weren't as strong in the math, that I knew that their partner would be able to help them out before they both had to ask me. So it seemed like it. And then at the end, when I had them do like the thumbs up and the middle and the thumbs down, I only had a couple kids that seemed that they were still not real confident what they had to do. So I'd say that was pretty successful. I think making the activity relevant to something that they can relate to, that makes the learning the best for them. If they know I can use this at another time in the future, even like today, if I was to go out to dinner with my parents, then they would be able to relate it. So making the lesson relevant is what I found is the most effective strategy. And they seem like today that's what they liked from it, like Assaggio's, I go there, I know how to do this, and that just gets them excited and not realizing, oh, I'm doing math, that they can do the work and you're learning in the process. So having the materials ready ahead of time really helps out a lot, and I think even bouncing off ideas off of my team, trying to figure out what would work best for our kids. And we actually did have an old menu from before that was really old, but the kids actually came up with that idea of Assaggio's, and then I was thinking, hey, that's easy enough, I can just pull that off the internet and get something like that. But our team of teachers, we bounce ideas off of each other and we work together to make sure we're putting out the best lesson for the kids. And it helps too that I have to teach it a couple times in one period and then the next. So sometimes the second period gets the better instruction than the first period does. But that's just part of being a teacher, is learning from the mistakes you made in the first class and making it better the second time around. And if I was to do it again the following year, I could make it even better and figure out what would make it be more effective for everybody. Okay, so each packet had 4 sets of cards, and or actually it was 3 sets of cards, and each set had a discounted price, a discounted percentage, a tax percentage, and a tip percentage. So they would randomly choose one, and that's the percent they would have to use for their discount, and then they would pick another one for their tax, and then another one for what their tip would be. And that way it gives them a little variety as to what. It's not just me telling them, okay, today your tip is going to be 20%, and they actually picked it and made a relationship that way, and just made it a little more fun. And the numbers that we gave were relevant to what normal tax would, like, I didn't go, oh, they don't just make it up and go, oh, I'm going to pay 15% tax today, because that's not the real world. That doesn't really happen. I hope it doesn't happen anyway, and in Hawaii. So that's what those were for. So I had those ready ahead of time, and I felt that might have given them, it would just make the lesson more fun for them and choosing their own cards. So in terms of management, and because the kids were working in pairs, I made sure that if there was a weaker student, I would have a stronger student with them so that they could go to that student before they come to me. Because if I had two lower students together and neither one of them knew how to do it, then I would have to spend most of my time working with that group. So I want the kids to have some ownership and responsibility to help out their team, help out a classmate, and like we always say, teaching is the best way you can learn. If you can teach someone how to do it, that means you've mastered the concept. So I tried to do that way. That helped with the management some, because I didn't have to bounce around as much helping out all the kids, because they had someone to ask first. So that's one thing I always ask them. And when somebody asks me, I'll say, did you ask your partner? I want to make sure that they ask their partner first before they come to me, so that they can help each other out. And then just making myself visible in the room. They know that I'm there. It seemed like most of them were on task. Maybe when I watch the video later, I might see that they weren't, but it seemed like most of them were. And just being able to walk around the room, and the way that I situated the desks, it worked out because they were already in pairs. So, and then I even had, there was a couple groups that finished kind of quick. So I figured, hey, we got time. Let's have them make a group of 4, and then they can figure their prices out together as a group of 4 instead of just 2. So that worked out. And even some groups, they only finished 1 problem, which is fine, but we want to make sure they understand what's going on before they have to move on to something else. It seemed like most of them were engaged. Everybody was excited to choose their menu items, and got them all hungry and ready to go out to dinner. But they seemed really on task. And when I was walking around, everybody was working out the numbers. They weren't, well, I had this before, and when I went to the restaurant, I had this. They didn't seem to be talking about the food, which I was kind of worried about. I thought they might, start talking. Well, one time when I went to dinner with my mom and get all distracted by that, but they were really good about figuring out what they needed to do, and they did the math, and then the timing seemed pretty perfect. Most of them got both of them done, and then class was almost over. So I don't know if we were have a longer period of time, they might have got distracted by something else, but they seemed on task, and most of them got the task, the assignment done in the given amount of time. So it seemed at the end when I asked them, do you think you could do this when you go out to dinner with your parents? Most of them were like, yeah, I got this. So just knowing, just even knowing that it was from a restaurant that they've been to, and then they found out the total. They were able to find out what the discount was. They could do the tax. So knowing that, I'm hoping that they can take that and apply it to other things, not just going out to eat. Maybe they go to Macy's and they notice, oh, there's a 20% off sale. Oh, I know how to figure out how much I'm gonna have to pay for this. So those kind of things, I think just making the math real is what's gonna put value in it. So a lot of times you're given a curriculum that you're told to follow with fidelity, and sometimes it's just not fun for the kids and they don't see any relevance. So as a teacher, it's your job to take that lesson and expand on it. You still give the good content of the lesson from the book or from the curriculum, but you need to find other lessons that will make it relevant to them. Like, how does it apply to you in the real world? What are you going to do with this later? So that's what a teacher needs to do. You can't just, I don't think you can just follow it step by step by step by step. You need to be able to be creative and find your own way to make it effective for the students. Go shopping. Like, we can find ads in newspapers, or maybe like the Macy's flyer that they send home. It's like, hey, this item cost you this much. How much is it going to cost you with this coupon? Because it comes with coupons, or it says there's a sale, and then figure out their tax. So it's the same concept, but related to something else that they would do. I'm hoping that it just sits in their head and it doesn't just go in one ear and out the other, and they remember how to find it. So I think that would be a good way to continue on and make sure that it sticks with them.